Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Havoc Maker Studio. Hoping you guys caught my earlier video concerning Urza Major and the Winter Guard and some updates here on the channel. So here's our second video for today, and it's one I've been kind of sitting on. This news dropped on my birthday, which was July 9th, and I wanted to sit on it because I wanted to understand it a little bit better. I wanted to reach out to a couple sources, but nobody's reached back to me. So we're going to dive into this. There's several problems, and we're going to keep highlighting this until Games Workshop either corrects their course or they just continue to make news for us. So over on Spikey Bits, for all their faults and all their greatness, Spikey Bits still keeps up on a lot of news. Sometimes the news is late and most of us have already covered it. Sometimes they get a jump on it, and a lot lately, and I really got to give credit to them, is they seem to have switched gears a little bit, and instead of I'm going to put this in in terms that might not be sound favorable, but I think you guys get the gist of it, and it's not necessarily disparaging towards them. It's just I can't think of a better euphemism, a metaphor, analogy to use. But they don't seem to be sucking on the teat of Games Workshop anymore. And the folks over at Spiky Bits are kind of switching gears, and their editorials, their news articles are starting to be a little bit more unbiased, which is good. Because for the longest time, and just like a lot of people out there, especially if you are running some dual businesses where you're getting some perks, from NDAs that you might have to say with Games Workshop or Privateer Press, Warlord Games, and whatnot, but you still have to be somewhat favorable to. They seem to have switched gears, and I 100% applaud them for this. And what I'm talking about, at least for right now, is their most recent article about the Warhammer Plus. And if you're not familiar, we've covered Warhammer Plus over the past year. Warhammer Plus is the app, I guess, streaming app and rulebook app, everything app that Games Workshop has tried to make work, but they have failed repeatedly. They've got a number of issues with a number of functions just with the app itself, like mechanical functions, or I guess it'd be coding functions. You know what I mean. There are failures to deliver on their animations, and not even being transparent about their failures about those animations, but going in and altering or completely removing any of their previous comments saying, hey, this is what you're going to get out of it. They'll just completely scrub the internet. Though thankfully, thanks to the archive page and people screenshotting stuff, we've got proof, and we've covered this over many videos. People covered it over their videos before, at least those that aren't having to suck face with Games Workshop. And the animations have been largely piss poor, largely just shy of being flash animation, or in some cases, just literally flash animation, and just poor quality voice acting, poor quality animation, poor release schedule, and then the rest of the content on the app has just been of low quality. And though they've tried to brand it and market it as high quality content, it's been very lackluster. And that's not good for a giant. And we're seeing the effects of that with their stocks and stuff. We've seen that going on a lot recently. We're going to cover a little bit of that today. So the big snub right now is Games Workshop is pretty much, well, as you can see, slaps everyone who subbed Warhammer Plus early in the face. So if you subbed for a year when this launched, or if you did the year subscription, at the end of your yearly subscription, you were going to get one of two models with the option to buy the other model, which, let me see if I can pull it up here. Yes, there we go. The Vindicare Assassin or the Orc or Oruk Mega Boss. You had the option to get one of these for free, which technically you weren't getting for free because you basically paid for it, but it's wrapped up in that cost. And then, of course, you had the option to buy the other one, probably for like 30, I think, I'm going to say probably $40 to $60 for either or model. I don't know what the prices is. Maybe if you guys know, put it in the comments below. I'd love to know that. So when I eventually talk about this again, we will have the accurate prices. So that's what you had to do. So after your subscription came up on your anniversary, you got your model and the potential to buy the other one. Well, recently, and pretty sure we know why, that anybody that's signed up this year, so you guys still have time. You've got 19 days, by the way. By July 31st of this year, if you do the year subscription, you can get access in August to your model. You no longer have to wait. Now, in full disclosure, I don't think you should have had to wait. I think that if you paid for the full year subscription, that you should have been able to get like a code of some sort, and you go onto the Games Workshop web store and put in the coupon code or whatnot, and just like you put in your gift vouchers and such, and then you can order it. You might have to pay for shipping, whatever, but you could still get your model for free. And I think that is what they should have done from the very start. So them doing this now, I'm a little conflicted, but what is happening now is you no longer have to wait. So all those people that thought that and basically they were doing the right thing and following what Games Workshop said, another one of their broken promises was, hey, you do this and we'll grant you this. Now it doesn't even matter. You don't even have to wait a year any longer. So you do this between now and July 31st, and then come August, you'll get your miniature like everybody else that, did the right thing following Games Workshop's examples, right? And I can guarantee you that once these models hit eBay, watch out, ladies and gentlemen, they are going to skyrocket. They're probably going to be $100+ per figure. If you find one for about $50-$60, buy it up if that's what you really want, because you probably won't find a cheaper price. Once these do hit the market, once they do hit people's hands, they're going to hit eBay. Recasters are going to pick them up. So if you really want one, not that I'm telling you to reach out to a recaster, because of course we don't want to pirate legal product. I would never, ever tell you to go pirate stuff. But once this stuff does drop, it's going to be pirated really quick. So if you know channels, that might be something that you do. Not that I'm suggesting you do that. Most certainly not going to suggest you do that, because that would be wrong. We don't want to do that. But these things are going to hit eBay. They're going to be exorbitant prices. If you want to do the right thing and pay for this subscription and get the product now, feel free to. Cool. You'll get it in August. You don't have to wait a year like everybody else that did the right thing had to. And that's not your fault, by the way. And it doesn't make you or doesn't make anybody that paid the year subscription last year and waiting for it to get it this year any better than you. It doesn't make them, there's always this weird thing. It's like, well, I've already been paying for it for a year, so I'm better than you. I deserve it before you do. Well, not really. It's not how that really works. It doesn't make you better. But here's the thing, is that you have the potential to get your product before even those people that have been subscribers for a year can get it. And that's part of the problem. And it's pretty much just crapping on any fans that are still loyal for some reason to Games Workshop. It's still crapping on them. So we do have a preview of some of the new models that are coming out, and we're not done yet, so we got a lot to cover in this video. We do have a preview of some of these upcoming models. Looks like possibly some sort of Terminator. I'm guessing and it looks like the old style Indominus. I think it's the Indominus style. It could be. I don't see a lot of spiky bits. I get the impression that it might be like an Inquisitor or kind of a nod to the old Inquisitor in Terminator armor with the bionic leg, the old metal model. Could be something along that lines. Could be a not a Black Knight, but Death Watch. We've got some sort of fantasy looking model. It's probably Chaos Seeks. We got an 8-pointed Chaos, possibly 8-point Chaos Star in the back there. Probably something for fantasy. We see their staff banner thingamajig that's going on their back. So we know that there's going to be, it looks like a Chaos and a Loyalist, probably for two different franchises, one for 40K, one for fantasy. Though, of course, with fantasy, you could easily turn those into 40K. You guys know how that goes. So right now, Warhammer Plus still not delivering their weekly animations like they said. They are supposedly every Wednesday when they do show up, whenever they feel like doing it. The apps for both 40K and for Age of Sigmar, somewhat functional for the most part, but still a lot of errors. The Warhammer Vault, garbage. Really is garbage. And the Warhammer TV, the animations are just really bad. The exclusive shows, nothing really to write home about. I'm going to be honest with you. Now, I'm going to have the link for this article up in the description or down in the description so you guys can go there read for yourself. But one of the things I wanted to talk about is even Spikey Bits is like, to us, no Warhammer Plus is, to us, no. Warhammer Plus is not worth it because the double talk on animation releases, what I talked about, army builder apps that don't function. Okay, well, pretty much everything that I just said. And the way they constantly change their narrative, even editing their posts without any notification, which is true. We've covered that extensively, not just about the Warhammer app, but their product releases. Games Workshop is just a hot mess right now. They need some corporate restructuring internally, and even their North America offices need some work, like they did back in 2013. Yeah. So, anyways, we're still a year after this app, and they still are making changes. They're breaking their promises, and I mean, even there's this article here, and Mike Brandt, God bless him. He used to run the Nova Open, if I remember correctly, and he went over to run the global events for Games Workshop, and he's been just pretty much in a pickle because he knows the truth, but he also is working for the company, so he has to stay on brand, and he has to essentially be a Games Workshop apologist. Kind of like what I used to be back in the day, and a lot of people are, especially a lot of other YouTubers and Twitch streamers and such. He's got to spin it as it's positive, but even as they said, is in the 40K app that Mike Brandt promised us back in 2020 still does not work correctly. Even after he promised us in April 2022, it was being fixed. And this is still, once again, another part of the problem that Games Workshop has. They are just dropping the ball. They're trying to expand too quick, and they're losing their quality control. And that's one of the crowning achievements for the longest time that Games Workshop had, is good quality control over their IP. Sometimes a little lethally, not in the physical danger sense, but legal sense, very lethal legal protection of their IP. But the quality that the products that they would put out, it's like, hey, we need to meet a certain standard. Now they're like Disney and Marvel and DC going, you know what? We're just going to throw a bunch of garbage out. People are going to eat it up. We're going to make money off of it. Not so much anymore. Take a look at how Marvel and DC Comics are doing these days. Take a look how Disney's doing these days. Take a look how Netflix is doing these days. And even now we can look at Games Workshop. And once again, we've covered this before. Even at the height of the pandemic, even when it kicked off, there was a slight dip where everybody was on lockdown, but Games Workshop just skyrocketed, man. Good God, they just climbed. I mean, even I don't know. I can't even go back to when I was working with the company, but you can see that they were down there pretty gosh darn low. And then the pandemic hit, and they flourished. And now they're not. Now they're dipping majorly. They'll rise back up, but they're dipping repeatedly, and this descent into these low numbers is not over. I mean, we're seeing low numbers even after the release of the Horus Heresy, which fantastic, awesome. We're thank you for doing some plastics and kind of finally bringing it forward in under the Games Workshop brand instead of the Forge World brand. However, it's too little, too late. Way too little, way too late. And you already got enough problems with Warhammer 40,000 breaking your promises on the less codexes, the less rules bloat. You've already violated that. Age of Sigmar still somewhat healthy. I'm not going to say anything bad about Age of Sigmar because it's relatively doing pretty well, even though we're still seeing attendance issues at events such just like Warhammer 40,000. But Horus Heresy should have just ended it, just like the novel series, and it should have been over by now. Maybe a 2 or 3 years after, and then just let it go, guys. Just let it die. And it's not that it's a bad product, but you milked it for everything you can. And even we're seeing post their new release, it's not the breadwinner. It's not the moneymaker they were hoping it was. So Games Workshop is taking major hits. And then it's not done because we're still seeing rinse and repeat of even with the release of the squats, it's nothing very innovative. It's basically the Caradon Sky Overlords or whatever from Age of Sigmar, the Sky Dwarves. It's basically just a sci-fi version of them. It's just a retooling of them. What are they called? The Voton League of Votons now. There's nothing innovative coming out of Games Workshop is what I'm trying to lead to. I mean, we've got some new models that have come out, and this is another prime example of Games Workshop just losing it. It's almost like they're throwing stuff out there to keep their head above water, hoping that somebody's going to throw them a lifeline. Cruise ship's going to come along, and hopefully that cruise ship is not full of people with dysentery and suffering from COVID or monkeypox or whatever's going on right now that happens to be on cruise ships. Why people are on cruise ships during this time of global pandemic or even the wind down of global pandemic, I don't know. But that aside, yes, this model, this new one, this is Cabin. This is a general, demon general for Khorne, the demons of Khorne. Those of you not familiar, he's pretty famous for busting up Sanguinius during several times during the Horus Heresy, and then Sanguinius busting him up at the gates of the Imperial or the Emperor's Palace during the Siege of Terra. Excuse me. So, but you're like, oh, what separates this from any of the other Bloodthirster type models like Scarbrand or the regular Bloodthirster? Nothing really. It's just another design. It's nothing really fantastical or nothing amazing. It's just slapping a name brand on a very generic looking greater demon and packaging it up, getting people excited about it, and they're going to buy it up in droves, but it's still not really all that great. And then we got Angry Ron, who's basically just another version of these models. Let me show the Scarbrand and the Greater Demon of Khorne, the Bloodthirster, even Cannabis. I don't know what his name is. I don't know how to pronounce it, I should say. This is Angron, the Demon Primarch of the World Eaters. And yes, he is definitely impressive. There's lots of impressive knickknacks, but it's basically just like a new skin of like playing a video game and getting different skins for your armor sets or your clothing sets. That's all this is, just a reskinning. There's nothing really groundbreaking or innovative or really amazing about this model, except it's just another big model with skulls everywhere and spiky bits, and that's it. It just kind of fails. I mean, it's still impressive. It's still gorgeously done. They did a great job of the sculpting and putting the wires and the skulls and spiky bits everywhere. It's very classic Games Workshop, but it's nothing absolutely amazing. It's just like, oh, cool. They did Angron. Cool. The thing that we reported on about a year and a half, 2 years ago, that Angron and the World Eaters were coming, but nobody believed me. But hey, all right, I don't mind. Didn't hurt my feelings. I love being right. But we're still seeing this really lackluster, this very piss poor examples of the creative teams at Games Workshop, their designers, their artists. They had an opportunity here to do something absolutely breathtaking, and they failed, in my opinion. It's still an impressive piece, and people are going to use it for sure. They're not going to. This is going to go the way of, say, the Stampa or the Bane Blades back in the day when they were just sitting on the shelves in Memphis, and they were doing their best to make us employees sell those Stampas and sell those Bane Blades because there were so many on the shelf, especially the Stampas. But this isn't going to run into that problem, but it's still, I expect more out of Games Workshop, and we already looked at their sales, and this isn't going to help. And right now, Games Workshop is gearing up for 10th edition for Warhammer 40,000. It's happening. Get over it. And I mean, they're right now going to be cranking out books. We just saw announced Chaos Demons. We knew the book was going to come. Let's face it, the book was going to come, but they're cranking this out. They're going to be cranking all these books out because they have to make up for this horrible 2021-2022 fiscal year. And hopefully at least the first half of this 2023 fiscal year, the fiscal year we're on right now, they can, at least this first half, by the end of November, go to investors and go to everybody else and go, look, we're actually back on top. Right now, they're not on top. They are floundering. And it's almost like like I said before, they are throwing things out there, see what sticks to the wall, and it's going to get fans to buy it, gobble it up, and then they're going to turn around and they're going to do what they do every 3 to 4 years. They're going to go, hey, here's a new edition. It improved on the old one. And it's the same thing. And it's like I've talked about with Dungeons and Dragons. Games Workshop needs to re-innovate. They need to rethink about what they're doing because their product is becoming stale. They've plateaued, and they've sunk, but they've reached the height of what they're going to do with their current mechanics. They need to rethink what they're doing. They need to revisit their whole mechanic system for how they do Age of Sigmar and Warhammer 40,000 largely, and look at how other companies are doing a better job of a better game mechanics than what Games Workshop is. It is going to be critical for the future of Games Workshop. Probably not for 10th edition, but somewhere later on down the line. My guess is 10th edition really will be a hey, this is going to be an investment for the future game system for Warhammer 40,000, just like whatever the next Age of Sigmar set is. It'll be for the future investment. I'm hoping they have to change how they're doing things. That entire stat line, the entire process that they have, it is too slow. 3 hours to play a tabletop miniature game is now way too long. Absolutely way too long. There are other games out there, we've covered many of them, that are doing it in half the time and are just as fun, just as in-depth, if not more, have more strategic and tactical essences in it than Games Workshop does. So Games Workshop really needs to change things, but I don't think it's going to happen by 10th edition, which should be out next year. Could be the following year, but all eyes are pointing towards next year. But if Games Workshop, if companies like Games Workshop and say Wizards of the Coast, I'm going to cover that in a future video, actually the next video, they don't change what they're doing, they are going to go back to the dark days where they're going to see their profits plummeting. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Am I just off the rails here? I know I kind of drifted. Am I off the rails here? Or am I really kind of laying down a lot of truth bombs that's going to make a lot of GW apologists and loyal fans really kind of upset? Which, hey, I get it. It's your favorite thing. And if you guys enjoy it, last thing before I sign off, if you enjoy playing this, if you enjoy giving your money to Games Workshop, please do it through your friendly local game store, by the way. Please, 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 just keep doing it. If you enjoy it, keep it up. I'm not going to take away your fun. I'm not telling you to stop playing it. If you are going to be buying, stop buying directly from Games Workshop and buy directly from your friendly local game store. Please, please, please. And if you don't have a friendly local game store nearby and you still have to order from Games Workshop, Google other game stores and see if they have an online store that you can order from and get free shipping, the whole works. That way you're still supporting the local store and not the corporate store. All right, I think I've run my mouth enough. You guys let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I will chat with you guys later. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you guys.